Hello, good morning everybody. Welcome today to my channel at igboshrine.com. It's Somto here and I hope you guys enjoyed my last week video and I hope that this week I do justice to it. So for today I'm going to be discussing about Igbo women, beautiful, industrious, confident Igbo women. So we'll be discussing Igbo women in Igbo spirituality, their roles and their functions, and trying to bring us out of the stereotype that we've been made to believe. And I hope after this video would have a different perception, a different view about women. So guys, if you've not subscribed to my channel, hit, or let me say smash that notification button and subscribe to this channel. And for further read-ups, you can visit our website at www.igboshrine.com. And I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you share, comment, and if you have any video specification or any topic specification, don't forget to type in the comment section. And for any further references, I'll be keeping it in the description box. So if you want to visit my website, if you want to contact me, if you need further guidance or information or books to read on Igbo spirituality, then you can basically, send me a text, reach out to me via my social media accounts. Thank you very much and enjoy. Welcome guys, welcome everybody. So let's talk about women in Igbo spirituality and cosmology. So women basically talk about the female children, and there is just one stereotype that every single one of us are, we've read, we've encountered, and somehow it's a narrative that people are constantly trying to push, and it's very sad, trying to push the concept, the narrative that we Igbos, that we maltreated, we owned our women, and women are regarded or seen as inferior within the Igbo society. When we talk about women not owning properties, women answering their husband's name, the whole concept of submission and some other things that when we talk about women is very much synonymous with women. But why some people see these things as being inferior, or while some people see it as a way to basically hang on to and refer to or we practice as our culture as being anti-women. But I try to see it as something that isn't, because when you research about it and when you ask the right questions, when you interact with these people, when you try to ask them, why is this thing so? When you talk to these elders, they have this different narrative or different explanations to give onto why something is that way. For instance, in our cosmology or in spirituality and cosmology, there are certain things a woman is not expected to do. For instance, a woman cannot break kola and hand it to a man. Rather, a man has to break the kola and give it to the woman. Now, there are reasons to this. They now tell you that a woman cannot, use her hand and pick an orgy from okwu, like a plate where you put kola. And there are reasons to this. It doesn't mean that they're looking at the woman and they're trying to say that she's inferior, or because of whatever narrative that people are trying to pass there. Now, I try to research my culture and other people's culture. Now, within our own culture, there is a certain degree of balance and equity. We have the feminine, the divine feminine, and the divine masculine. Now, both of these entities or this natural energy join together to produce a balance. Now, that's what we have in our cosmology. Now, in this our cosmology, we also have when we talk about authority, the power structure, we have the female aspect of it and the male aspect of it. We always use the popular word Igbo. So basically, when we talk about patriarchal power structure and matriarchal power structure, there is a diffusion between the two. Both of them comes together to basically form a balanced, give a more balanced narrative. Now, in those days before pre-colonization, I have an article, Fascinating Truths About Igbo Women and Before the Pre-Colonial Era. Now, if you can check the link down there to go through it. Now, before the whole Europeanization, before the whole colonization, this both the Umunna, the male sex, and the female sex, Umuada, they both come together to form some sort of a socio-political parallel power structure. Now, each sect has their own authority. Each sect has their own rule of thumb. So everybody just comes together to basically give, like I said before, a wholesome narrative. Now, with modernization and pre-colonization, it has actually made us to forget that women actually had a degree of power, and weren't the narrative that we have now concerning women is actually a stereotype and is actually false. Now, when we talk about domestic violence, we have this stereotype when they talk about imegowine, and you hear people, okay, which is it's very annoying when you hear men say that word or that statement is very derogatory, but they don't actually understand what they're talking about. So we've lost a lot, so people just basically just go ahead with anything they have in mind. So when you hear stuff like it gives you this sense of women are being owned when they've been married off to their husbands, or when they've gotten married and they're over there and their husband can beat them, maltreat them, dehumanize them, and nobody would come to their rescue. Oh, that narrative is actually, it's hugely false. Now, in those days, Chimamanda once said bride price wasn't African, and everybody wanted to basically eat her up. But she was actually right. You can actually look at this reference, Astonishing Adventures of Olaudah Equiano. He talked about his life before he was kidnapped and sold as a slave. So in his memoir, he tried to talk about the Igbo societies and was trying to correlate it with what he was witnessing in the foreign land. We talked about hygiene, how we down here, if you touch a corpse, you're going to stay for a place for a particular a number of time. You have to wash your hand. The moral decadence that he was experiencing over there, and was trying to compare what he experienced. He now also talked about bride price, or bridal wealth. That's the more appropriate word for it. And he talked about it and what he perceived or what he saw as a child. I think he was around 7 to 10 years when he was kidnapped or so. So it kind of caused, the age stuff kind of caused a problem. People are trying to say that he was basically too young to basically to actually know what he was seeing and understand what he was seeing. But I think you can actually draw one or two from what he said. So he said that during the bridal ceremony, the traditional marriages, that what happens there is that the both family all come together with things, which is something we still see now, apart from the monetary aspect of it. The woman's family comes with their own stuffs, the man's family come with their own stuffs. Then both family comes together. That's what they're going to eat, that's what they're going to drink for the day. Then once they are done, everybody, the bride's family would bring in stuffs like land, goats, chicken, wine, and all those things, and give it to the woman and the husband. Now we still see it now. The woman's family will give her stuff. So it's still happening now. Now I talked to my lecturer about this particular thing, and he asked me to read up on economic redistribution. Understand? So what this means is you bring in wealth and you basically just push it back out there. It's just like the concept of trade by barter. So this economic redistribution now that he was trying to talk about is something like I mentioned earlier. The both families bringing things. Economy. When we talk about economy, then we're actually talking about industries, and we're talking about the mineral things like food, like land, like slaves. All those things, that's what they exchange at that point. So when I talked to my grandmother about bride price, what she said that what they do is the woman's father, he's basically he's going to talk about how much he wants to, the man is going to pay. So normally just talking about the biggest, the tiniest amount, so they just bring in different denominations, and when they bring in that different denominations, then the the father is meant to just pick the lowest amongst them. And in some situations, he would give it back and say, I'm not selling my daughter. So when you look at these interpretations and you now hear stuffs like, it's very derogatory and the information there is quite wrong. Now, when people talk, when you read about, when you read online and trying to understand, women and trying to understand the marital life, what happens when it comes to domestic violence, you hear people try to tell you that so far a man is married, so far you're married, the man can do anything you want. That's a lie. Well, when we had this recent incident with Miss Osinachi, God rest her soul. So when we talked about it, I saw an information online where somebody said in those days to prevent issues like this. So what they do is once you're doing the ceremony, you're also dropping a certain amount of money. What they call it is ego utari. So what they now do here is once you lay a finger on their daughter, then the men in the family would basically gather around to get people and they will flog you. Well, in some of my research, I also found out that we had a similar structure, which is something we call inodu nisi. Now, inodu nisi now means not literally by bringing the man and sitting on his head, but inodu nisi literally means the women gather all around and try to cause trouble in the man's house, questioning his manhood, questioning him as a man. Like, what makes you a man? Why do you think you can lay a hand on this woman? Now, this is the job of the Umuada within the family and within the community as a whole. Now, when we talk about the economic structure, the market then was controlled by the women, not the men. Now, when we talk about being controlled by the women, it's controlled by the women by their head known as Omo. And this Omo is also known as the woman king. Now we have an Omo in Anyoma currently existing. So, I've seen a video when the BBC interviewed her, and occasionally she goes to the market, surveys around, although she said that because of the town union and the government being in the market, the Omo position is not really something people want to vie for, but it was something that existed and it happened for a reason. Now, talking about why Igbos have to regard women with utmost respect is the fact that we know that there are cosmic consequences. We are very well. We believe in humanity. We believe in treating everybody right, irrespective of where you're from. If we can basically accommodate outsiders that we don't know them, we brought them in, we give them land. I'm talking about the missionaries. Are we now going to go against our own? This is like a very huge question that we should start asking ourselves. Now, when these kinds of things happen, you see, women basically, I'm going to now now forsake our own. That is a huge question that people try to just basically deny. So, talking about it, so you now listen to what we're trying to talk about here now. Now, trying to maltreat a woman, whether you're married to her or whether it has cosmic consequences, because we refer to women as living deities, and we believe that there are cosmic consequences to killing one. On a normal level, we have this thing about protecting human lives. We do not offer human sacrifice like most, although it's not ordinary, but it's something somebody can do, and in the next how many generations they're still suffering from the effect of the nonsense their ancestors did. Now, when you listen to them now, you're now trying to understand here that, okay, now we have this issue now that up till now it is something that is one of the leading causes of generational problems or cause, if I should put it that way now. Now, what we call it now is Okwu Nwaada or Nwaada. Now, we know that there are people, because of greed, because of they want to live like a deity, they want to live like a spirit, they try to, bring in one entity or one thing like that. They engaged in human sacrifices. Then some of them, because of greed, and when the white man came, they sold their own daughters, their own women, their own, to foreigners, to outsiders. And some of these women now, they basically died off somewhere, probably in their husband's house, or something happened to them, and nobody from the family tried to ask why, how, what happened to our daughter. ka ha malụ ihe mere nwafa. Now when stuff like this happen, it creates a problem. Now that person or that woman that was wrongfully offended, that was basically killed or murdered by the husband, or that was buried alive, or no matter whatever situation that happened, it now transcends or happens to be what we call Okwu Nwaada, Nwaada. Just call it generational curse. Now once this happens now, it starts to affect the family. It could come in form of an ogbanje. It could come in form of poverty. It could come in form of disorientation, mental illness, in whatever form. And it will always fall on the male aspects of the family. That's why we are always cautious. Now, to prevent these kind of problems in the future, or this kind of problem from existing, you see, women are being protected and regarded in our own community. So when they tell us that our ancestors, try to push down women, try to frustrate them, try to humanize them, these things are telling me otherwise. They are telling me that these people have a lot and they are lying to us. Now, to further this discussion here, we still have people trying to talk about how women were being, when we talk about women trying not to do some certain things, like I mentioned earlier, women trying not, limiting women from doing something and doing that or doing that. Well, it all transcends to the stereotypes that I'm trying to tell you about. Now, the fact that somebody tells you something and says this is it doesn't mean it is. You'd have to talk to elders, you'd have to talk to other people, and you have to research. Let me ask another question now. If our society was the kind of society that prefers women to be seen and not heard, they will not have women that are dibias, will not have women that are S and Y. Even to an extent, some women are actually title holders. Now, I've seen a picture where I talked about Ichi, the scarification, Igbo scarification, you get. But I've seen a woman that was scarred. I've seen a scarification, it's in a document, and it's a woman, and she has Ichi scars. Well, I'm yet to, go further on that research, but these things exist. We have a woman king, Anomo, that we even have currently in Anioma. So when we look at these issues now, and you see these trajectories, then we also have privileged groups like Ewado, Iyom, Community Iyom, and these are women organizations that had rights in those days, before pre-colonization. So with colonization, it literally made women to basically hide into their shell. Now, I try to draw a parallel conclusion whenever I'm trying to, talk about, my society. I try to kind of cross-reference it with the European organization and society, sorry. Now, in their society, it was hell-bent on women being seen and not heard. Women are being taken to school, finishing schools where you're taught how to be a proper wife. You're taught how to take care of your husband and your kids, not even you. But in our own community, we see women striving. They go to the markets, they go to the farm. You see, we are industrious. Now, when these people came here, they saw what we're doing in our society, and I bet you an old white man will not say, will definitely not stand for it, especially when he's a sexist. He will definitely not stand for a society where there are women have a society where women have to stand for themselves, have to work, or even a society in check. They came with this warrant chief nonsense. They came with, and okay, what happened? They appointed warrant chiefs, but did not give any woman any position. Now, few years after, it now sort of becomes a norm. We have a saying in our place, Oro asina aro. It now became something that everybody is okay with. That's why when we talk about a woman being a president in Nigeria, it's something that basically makes most men to kind of have problems with. Now, guys, I I was hoping to. Now, we believe, we are so believers that ihe ọbụla nwaanyị anọrọ na ọ dị enwe isi. So in whatever we're doing, we always invite a woman. In every family decision that they're trying to make, the men would always invite or tell the Nwoada, the women in their family, to even get her blessings. And in most severe situations, if she objects to it, it's not going to happen. So when we look at these instances that I've given you here, so you will know that women are very much regarded in our cosmology. Women are not sold to their husbands, and their husbands do not treat them as their properties. Rather, these men respect their wives for leaving their father's house and taking up his surname. It's a thing of honor. So we should try to get back to the original practices of our ancestors, not the one that has a European foreign interpretation, but the one that is rooted in our own cultural identity. So when next someone comes up to you, or when next you scroll to Wikipedia and you see wrong or harmful informations, have it at the back of your mind that it's false, it's a stereotype, and this is the essence of this channel. We're here to dispute all those wrong informations that people have about us as Igbo. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned. And in case you're having issues, for instance, Okwu Nwaada, the best way to go to it is to go through AFA and do the necessary rites and appeasements. Thank you very much. Yagazia.